Good afternoon, everyone. It is now midday. I'm allowed to say that. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. My name is Julia. I am a community manager at Enterprise Nation. For those of you joining an Enterprise Nation Lunch and Learn for the first time, we are a vibrant community of small businesses and business advisors who exist to shortcut your route to business support. I'm very pleased to introduce Taryn. She will share how a well-crafted book can position you as a leading expert in your field and serve as a unique asset that outshines traditional business cards. Obviously, if questions come up throughout the webinar, please post them in the chat. We'll have a look at them at the end and try our best to answer as many as we can. Today's webinar, as you probably just heard, is being recorded. So rest assured, any resources and the recording will come out to you later today via email. That is everything from me. I will hand over to our lovely host. And yes, we'll finish up at about past today with a few minutes just beforehand to do some questions. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much, Julia. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. So just very quickly, who am I and why should you listen to me? I've been an independent publisher now for 15 years. I've got two publishing companies, one that focuses on non-fiction, so a lot of business books and self-help, one that is for autobiographies and fiction. We've just won Independent Publisher of the Year. We found that out this week. And that was voted by several of our authors, which is really lovely. I've also got a marketing company. I've got over 30 years in marketing. So I understand how both things work to help move your business forward. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an indication as to the credibility and why I'm able to tell you why you should be writing a book. I've been doing this, I say, for 15 years now. And I can honestly say in all that time, only one person has ever said to me, I don't think I've got a book in me. Everybody should have a book in them. Now, maybe unpopular opinion, but not everyone should write them. But I think as a business owner, you definitely should. And we're going to kind of go through why you definitely need to. It's about making yourself stand out and how you can significantly boost your business and your presence within your industry in what is undoubtedly a competitive environment for us all. It's also a door opener. So hopefully, what we're going to be talking about is how you establish your expertise, how you break down barriers, and look at why a book is such a powerful tool for getting you in front of the right people. And I've got some really good examples as to how it actually works for you. And then finally, I am actually going to talk to you about how you get started writing and a few of the things that I get said all the time. People tell me the reasons why they can't. So hopefully I'm going to bust a few myths there as to why you absolutely can. So why does your expertise matter? And why would having a book change that? If I was to come to you, I'm looking for your service, and I can see that online there's 4 or 5 of you. The one that's actually written a book is probably the one that I'm going to have the most trusted, and I'm going to think is the most credible, because that person has actually said, well, you know what, I'm so good at what I do, I've written the book about it. It's a little bit like, do you remember that old advert? I'm showing my age now, but do you remember that advert? And I'm trying to remember, I think it wasn't Ron Seal, was it? Might have been. It's so good, I bought the company. I'll have to look up now what the company was, but that advert kind of is what your book is. I'm so good at what I do, I've written a book about it. I'm prepared to stand up and hold this book and say, yeah, I know my stuff. So if I'm choosing between several people in the same industry, the chances are not all of them, all of the business owners have written a book, well, not unless you're in marketing. And if you are, well, then you're going to have to find a niche. But having that credibility is really, really important. So it makes you stand out from your competitors. you're able to, you're probably going in a slightly different direction as well in terms of where you're headed with the business. It actually says that you are in it for the long run. If you write blogs and you write articles, then they're on your website, they might be on your Facebook page, but that's a short-term thing. Writing a book takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, and there is cost involved. So if you're prepared to invest in that, then it tells people that you are in it for the long run, that you care, and that it matters. Okay, so it gives you a far greater platform to showcase the knowledge that you have. You haven't got a short blog to do it. That said, if you have started writing blogs, then feel free to compile those, because that could well be the start of your book. You've already got that knowledge there, you've already started writing it, so why not utilize that to make the start of your book? It gives you a different way of sharing your perspective. You might have a different way of coming things. You might be an accountant that does things differently. You might not be the bean counter or the way they're perceived. So have you got a unique perspective that you can share that makes you stand out? Because remember, the key for this is making you different to your competitors. You want to be seen, you want to stand out. So can you share that perspective? And it also establishes you as a thought leader within your industry. You're not just doing the job, you're talking about it and you're leading the charge. So a book gives you that ability to stand out in that way. Now, it's really, really critical to write about what you know. And I know that possibly sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised. And there's a real leaning at the moment towards people utilizing AI. And I will say that by all means, use it for research, use it to help you think about what you're going to do, but don't let it write a book for you. Your book has to be your knowledge. You're writing this because you've done this job for X amount of years. You've got that knowledge, you've got that experience. You're sharing that to help people. What you don't want to do is just go and regurgitate what everybody else has already written, because that does not give you the ability to stand out. It doesn't build your credibility and trust, because you're simply saying what other people have written in the past. So we want to position you as the go-to expert. Okay, you want to be the one in that industry that we go to. Oh, sorry. And then, this is really, really important. Write as you are. I had an author who I'd met on many occasions. He was one of the first people I met networking, and he was an ex-stand-up comedian. He'd been on stage. He was one of the funniest people I'd ever met. And some of the things he taught me from the very first networking event I'd ever been to have stayed with me today. So he said, Taryn, I'm going to write a book. Will you help me? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Really can't wait for this. And he sent it over, and I was really excited to read it. And when I opened it, it was awful. Now I am known for being a little bit brutal at times. And I went back and I said it was rubbish in not so much so polite a term. But he'd written it thinking he needed to sound like somebody else. And that is a problem, because when somebody meets you having read your book, or read your book having met you, that book needs to sound like you. We need to know that that information that you're giving has come from you. So if you get ChatGPT to write your book, it won't sound like you. It won't have your colloquialisms. It won't have the words that you use all the time. Another example, I edited a book for somebody that I knew really well. And when I looked through, the word so was in there. Probably every other paragraph started with the word so. I think we had something like 360 so's in there. But that was how he spoke. Now, obviously, I took a lot of them out, but the book still needed to sound like him. And that's how he starts most sentences. If you swear, if you're a very, very sweary person, swear in your book. It's okay as long as you're sensitive and it's not there as overkill. I'm editing a book at the moment that's designed for students, so the language is okay, but in certain places there's been overkill, and I've had to pull that back because you don't want it in there for the sake of it being in there. But it's okay. If you're funny, be funny, because I expect when I read your book for you to be funny. If you're not, don't try, because people will know it's not you. So these things here that, this is all about how we establish you and utilize the book to put you as an expert, to make people understand that, you are the person that they want to work with. So what does a book give you? Well, we're looking initially at increased media opportunities. So what we tend to find is that once you've written a book and you've been talking about it and you are then established as that industry expert, journalists and media people are going to seek you out. They're going to want to talk to you because you are the person that has already established yourself as the expert. I have an author who wrote a book about being a non-exec director. He now is frequently contacted whenever there's something happens within the media about boards. He's the person that they go to. So you will be sought out to become an industry expert, which is great publicity for you and of course for your business. Speaking engagements. Now, you might find that you've written the book because you want to get into speaking events, or speaking events come off the back of the book. And what I will say with that is that, again, the book is brilliant because what that does is it tells the person booking the event, this is what I talk about. This is what you're going to get, which is why, again, the book, I'm gonna harp on about this a little bit, but it's why the book needs to sound like you. Because there's nothing worse than going and seeing somebody talk, and I've had this happen. Go and see somebody talk, and you get the book, and you think they didn't write that. There's nothing in it that relates to what I've just seen. So it can work two ways. Either it can lead to you getting invitations to speak at industry events, or it can be a door opener for you to actually get into the speaking circuit if that's what you want to actually do. And then finally, we're looking at enhanced client trust. So I've mentioned this before, I'm more likely to go to somebody who has that recognized authority, somebody that I can see that talks about and shares all the things in their industry that they care about, that has a personality, that has gone that extra bit to actually make themselves seen within their industry. So books as a door opener, and I think this is probably one that will resonate with you quite a lot. It can serve, I've put as powerful as a business card. It's better because we've all found this. We've taken business cards at networking events and we've popped them in our bag, we put them in a wallet or back pocket, whatever, and then we never look at them again. If you're diligent, then maybe you add them to your mailing list, or you follow up. But for the most part, we've got the business cards, we put it down. If we send somebody a book, that's a bit different because the book stays on their desk, stays on their bookshelf, and they walk past it, they see it, and you're constantly then in their mind. Also, it gives you that edge when you are trying to get past the gatekeeper, because what we want to do is we don't want to get blocked. We've all had that gatekeeper situation where you're ringing, you're trying to get an appointment, and nobody will give you the time of day. It's always really difficult. So I'll give you a brilliant example of how this works. So I had an author come to me, a business owner come to me, and he said I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, but we sat down and we had the conversation as to what his why was. Why did he want to write this book? And he said to me there were 2 businesses in the area that he really wanted to get in front of, and he just couldn't. He was hitting block after block, gatekeeper after gatekeeper. He could not get any joy. So what we did, we wrote the book, and then we found a certain section in the book. We put a post-it note in there with a little handwritten note And then we put a covering letter in that said, our MD has just written this book. This section that we've highlighted, we think would be really pertinent to the business that you're doing, and we think you'll find this really useful. If you do, please reach out to us. We'd love to have a chat. Both of those businesses that he was trying to get in front of and hadn't been able to for about 12 months, both reached out within a month of us launching the book. As a result, the 2 contracts that he received from that covered not only the cost of the book and the printing of the copies, but it covered him for about, I think, 2 years worth of bills and the money that he wanted to get into the business. So it was a massive turnaround for him. That's the power of it, as really against having just a business card. It can also create an opportunity for you to connect with people in your own field. You might suddenly get an opportunity to collaborate with somebody that has seen your book and thought, you know what, actually, we do a similar thing, but we do it differently. So wouldn't it be great if we actually came at this and created a bigger opportunity for ourselves? So don't discount the fact that it could open opportunities within your own industry. So the writing process. This is, as I mentioned before, so identifying the core message. What is it you want the book to achieve? And if you don't do that, then you're at a loss right from the beginning. Your book really needs to tell people something. So you have to decide to yourself, well, what is it I want? Do I want to create sales? Do I want to simply raise the identity of the business? Do I want to get into a speaking circuit? What is it I want this book to do? Once you've got that, you can then start to think about the content for the book. And what I would suggest is you create a clear structure, thinking about the topics that need to go in that. I do have some tools that can help you with this. If you wanted to reach out, we can sort of send those to you. But you need to understand, how much information you want to give. Now, remember, as with all things, you want to give a certain amount of information, but you don't want to give everything. It's important that you don't tell everybody how to do the business. You want them still to come to you for help. But you might want to do a book that tells people how you started out. You might just want to share your founder story and then look, at where that's taken you for the future. So think about, what do you want the book to achieve, and then what does it need to contain? And then you need to set realistic deadlines. Now, I had an author that I saw. He came to me at a networking event and he said, I've got a book, it's going to be ready. This was in March. And he said, it's going to be ready in November. So I'm like, yeah, no problem at all. It actually took 2 years. Things happened, his business changed, his business grew, but he finished it. So be realistic with your deadlines and the way you want to work. I had an author who said to me, I have to have the book written this week. I'm giving myself 5 days to write it. I've booked a hotel. I'm locking myself away in the hotel. If I haven't written it by Friday, I'm not getting on the plane to the holiday that I've booked. So it has to be done. Now, for his credit, he did. He wrote it. And he went off on holiday. But then what happened was it took us another 6 months of editing to get it to where it needed to be. I received an email this week from a renowned marketer who was selling a Write Your Book in 4 Days course. Don't fall for those gimmicks, okay? You cannot write a authentic, I know that's a buzzword, but you can't write an authentic book in 4 days. ChatGPT can help you write a book, but it'll be regurgitated content from somebody else. If you want to do this, do it properly and set yourself the right times to do it. So some of the common challenges that I get, I don't have the time. That's nonsense. Everybody has the time. Whether you take half an hour of your lunch break, whether you have half an hour when your partner is watching soaps in the evening or a program perhaps that you're not interested in, you can find that time. It's about the importance to you. Once it becomes important, you will find the time. But everybody has half an hour, and that's all you need to get started. Writer's fears. So criticism, trolls, and skill. Yes, absolutely, you're going to get all of those. You put your head above the parapet, somebody's going to shoot at it. We all know that. But we know that within business, no matter what, whatever we're doing, there's always going to be someone that's going to say something negative. I think everybody in business has come across that now. It's part of us being online. People are very, very brave when they're sat behind a keyboard. From my own experience, I found the people that write the unpleasant things are the people that haven't done it themselves and don't have the skills or the ability to do it themselves. And it comes from a place of jealousy. Does that make it any easier to deal with? No. But should it stop you from doing it? Absolutely not. So don't let somebody else stop you from doing something that you want to do. As for skill, well, there are enough people out there now. There are tools, there are free tools, there's freelancers. You don't have to be a really good writer to write a book. What I say to people is we have the ability to edit, to rewrite, to transcribe. If you wanted to record into any kind of device, we can transcribe that information and turn it into a book. What we can't do is create something that's locked in your head. If it's locked in your head, it's not coming out. It's never going to go anywhere. So you need to get over those fears and just do it. So set yourself time. If I was to say to you, you've got to start a gym challenge, then you would get up, you would put your trainers on, you'd put your gym outfit or your swimming costume, whatever it's going to be, and your brain would go, okay, we're exercising, and you get into that mindset and off you go. It's the same with writing. Find yourself the same place, the same time, and just write. Turn off all your distractions. The minute you sit down at that place at that time of day, your brain goes, we're writing. So that's the best kind of tip I can give you for just getting started. Seek feedback. Now, it's really important that you get professional editing and proofreading and someone professional to look at the book for you. Yes, by all means, ask family, ask friends, but ask wisely, because sometimes friends and families will be overly generous and they go, yeah, it's great. And it's not. Alternatively, they might be really negative with you and go, what are you doing that for? And hit your confidence. So be careful of who you ask, but do ask. I just very, very quickly want to run you through your publishing options, because I know sometimes that causes a bit of confusion. So there are 3 types of publisher. You've got self-publishing, traditional publishing, and indie. Self-publishing, the pros and cons of that are that you will have to do it all yourself. We've got a steep learning curve. Also, bookshops are very unwilling to take it because they can't guarantee the quality, and it doesn't necessarily give you the credibility that being published would. The cons are that you keep full control and all of your royalties. Traditional publishing, that's what every author I've ever met has kind of thought they wanted. You have to have an agent. You can't just simply go to a traditional publisher. The agent will take 10 to 15% of everything that you get. A traditional publisher is more likely to take your copyright. They will decide what the book looks like, how it goes out, what the content is. The pros of that, of course, are that it goes out everywhere. You get a far greater distribution and you get the credibility of saying, I've been published by Simon & Schuster. In the middle of that sits businesses like myself. We're independents, so you get all the benefits of a traditional publisher. You would contribute towards some of the costs, which means you get a far higher royalty rate. With a traditional publisher, you're probably lucky to get 10 or 15% royalty. With an indie publisher, if you contribute to the cost, then you're more likely to get 70 or 80. So you've got the ability of the expertise of someone doing it for you, the distribution, but you still retain a lot of the control because you talk one-to-one. I make sure that the book that my authors have, they're very, very happy with. So I think that I do avoid vanity publishers. I'll mention that very quickly. There's a lot of them out there. They'll charge you a lot of money for a very little book. Marketing your book, you must use social media, because writing the book isn't the end of it. You still have to market it, leverage your network. Remember that your publisher is not your publicist. You have to do it. People want to hear from you, not from me. And then just make sure you set realistic expectations. You are not going to make millions from your book. If that's the reason for doing it, stop now. It is a marketing tool. If you're doing it for business, it's a marketing tool. See it as that. See it as a campaign. Track the impact. It won't be the same as any normal marketing, but it might have opened doors that you didn't expect. It might have got you into a speaking gig, which has led to more work. So you can track the impact of your book. And so very quickly, enhance credibility and visibility. It'll give a lasting impact on your career in business. And my advice is start planning it and writing it today. Use it as a strategic tool to elevate your business. And if you would like, I have a free PDF that I can give you that will help you think about your tone of voice and getting started. And that's that. So are there any questions?
Okay, let's have a look. I think a few have come into the chat. A couple I think you may have actually addressed as you went on, sort of in the content of your talk. So one of them that came from Sally was that if they were to write a book, it would probably be about being a leader who coaches. They said, this already feels like quite a crowded market. Is it worth it? And how would I stand out amongst the many more significant authors?
You have to find your niche. What is it that you do different? What is it? And this is the same no matter what industry. How is your story different? So your founder story might be different. Your approach to leadership might be different. Who's your target demographic? That's why I said right at the beginning, think about your reason for writing it. What is it you want the book to achieve? Once you understand what you want the book to achieve, you can then think about how you're going to craft it so that it matches that demographic that you want to reach out to. But yeah, absolutely. If you've got one in there, I would definitely write it because your story is going to be different to everybody else's.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It is all about finding your niche, isn't it? Another one from Ithiel. They say, who owns the copyright if working with you?
You do. So here's one I prepared earlier. The physical book, so I actually did it. My name's on that one. The physical copyright, so the book itself, this would be mine. So if you were with us and then you went off to another publisher, you couldn't take the book as it physically looks, but the entire content is yours. You retain the copyright of that. Sorry, I have a German Shepherd who's very loud. Yeah, you retain the copyright, it's yours. I'm not going to take it.
He's all right, don't worry, you're fine.
Postman, he hates the postman. Yeah, it's yours.
We have a couple of questions about costing. I can imagine that this is a big topic and probably one that, you know, might need a little bit more time, but just roughly, people would love to know, for example, this question here, how much does self-publishing cost roughly in comparison to choosing independent?
So the key things you're going to have done, regardless of who you go with, and even traditional, you have to have it professionally proofread and edited, because you don't want to be sending a manuscript off to a traditional publisher that isn't fully edited and proofread. So you're going to have to pay for those anyway. With us, you would pay something like £20 per 1,000 word for editing, £10 per 1,000 word for proofreading. So that gives you an idea of those sort of costs. If anybody ever charges you for publishing, run away. You should not be charged for publishing. You should only ever be charged for services like editing, formatting, proofreading, cover design, because they're the things that you would have to pay for, whether you self-published or regardless. If you work with someone like us, you would contribute towards some of those costs. But actual publishing, so the distribution, the getting it out there for you, you shouldn't be charged for that. That's why I say do your due diligence. We would never charge for that. Our fees are covered then within the small amount of royalty that we would take. So you would get 70% royalty, we would take the 30%. That 30% covers the things that we do behind the scenes, making sure it's available on Amazon, making sure that Waterstone stock it, that kind of thing. That said, If you go with a traditional publisher, obviously they're going to give you a tiny royalty, but you're looking at probably getting far greater distribution. They'll get it onto the shelves in Waterstones. A lot of the indie publishers can't guarantee that. We can guarantee you get it into certain stores, but not every single one. So that's where you need to think about, you know, who you're going to choose to work with. What do you want the book to do?
That is wonderful. Thank you so much. Just to let you know, there's some lovely comments in the chat saying how inspired people feel. And I think generally, yeah, I think everyone's just saying it's been a really great and informative session. So thank you so much. Just to let everyone know who's here. I know there's a few questions here that we didn't quite get to. So I have sent you a link there to connect with Taryn on Enterprise Nation. So you can drop a discovery message and then potentially have a call from there to sort of talk about the next steps if you're interested. Aside from that, we will send the recording over to all of you later today, if not tomorrow. Not tomorrow, tomorrow's Saturday. It won't be coming tomorrow. It will hopefully come this afternoon or early Monday morning if it doesn't come out this afternoon. But the link, sorry, let me resend that one to you just here. So the link to connect with Taryn is just there. It's sent to everyone. Let me make sure. There we go. Lovely. I think that's everything from us. Please, yeah, keep in touch, reach out to Taryn, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a lovely rest of your afternoon and weekend ahead.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.